Of course, a few moments ago, we were telling you about the welfare vote taking place in the Commons, and we're now hearing that a total of 37 Labour MPs voted for scrapping the clauses affecting universal credit. We can hear now from one of those Labour rebels, Richard Burgon, the MP for Leeds East, who joins us now from Central Lobby. Thank you for being with us. The government's already taken away £5 billion of savings by changing the PIP eligibility, so the bill would end up costing taxpayers more in the medium term, but you're still not happy with it. Explain why.
Well, I'm not happy because what we're voting on tonight is whether or not to take £2 billion from 750,000 people who are on low incomes, who are sick and disabled, and who are classified as unfit for work. And that'll be taking, on average, £3,000 from each of those 750,000 people. And that's still trying to balance the books on the backs of the poor and disabled. And that's not what I got into Labour politics to do. That's not what most of my colleagues got into politics to do. And that was reflected in the speeches in the Chamber today. And there'll be the third reading vote on it shortly.
Do you believe, given the current fiscal situation, that there are savings that should be made on the welfare bill?
Well, savings can be made to the welfare bill in a number of ways. One way is look at the tens of billions of pounds that goes from the public purse through the welfare system into the hands of large private landlords. If we get our act together when it comes to building council houses, then that will certainly stop so many tens of billions of pounds being used basically to subsidise the profits of private landlords. But what is clear is that the government has made a choice to try and save £2 billion from the public purse by taking it from 750,000 people who are on low incomes, who are sick and disabled and are classified as not being able to work. What they could have done instead, rather than saving £2 billion or attempting to by doing that, they could introduce a wealth tax of 2% on assets above £10 million. That would raise £24 billion a year, and that's certainly a far more Labour way of doing things. I've been arguing this for a long time. In Parliament last week, I presented a petition signed by more than 77,000 people for wealth taxes.
Can I come in on the wealth tax? Please.
Yes.
Because I don't want to comment on whether it's a good or a bad thing. I understand the argument that those with the broader shoulders should pay more. I understand the arguments around inherited wealth, etc. But I just don't understand where these numbers are coming from, if I may, because I've looked at other countries and the amount that they've managed to raise through this, and I can't see any comparable country around the world who has been able to raise the sums that you're talking about. Can you name anyone who's managed to raise in the region of £24 billion through a wealth tax?
Well, the model that we've been advocating and that Neil Kinnock, Lord Kinnock, the former leader of the Labour Party, is in support of, as well as other MPs.
Is this the Tax Justice UK model?
It's a model that's been...
because I looked on the website and I just I couldn't see any of the calculations when I looked at it.
OK. It's a model advocated by tax experts at UCL and Warwick University, amongst other places. But the £24 billion figure that they came forward with was actually based upon it being at least that. And so it's not an over-optimistic element at all. But I'm sure that when we're talking about...
If I look back at, and again, I'm really not saying a wealth tax. I'm not, because I do understand the arguments for a wealth tax. I really, really want to make that very clear. But just on the figures, in Spain, for example, a wealth tax there generates around €632 million a year. That's on assets worth more than a couple of million, tapers up to 3.5%. In France, for example, the wealth tax led to around 42,000 millionaires leaving between 2000 and 2016, and now they've got rid of it. Well, I just don't understand where the evidence is that we can build, billions of pounds worth of taxes through this.
Yeah, well, they have different models that they adopt. And France, actually, the wealth tax more similar to the model that I'm advocating hasn't been introduced in France yet. It's been passing through Parliament. But let's imagine that you're right. Let's imagine it's not going to raise £24 billion. It'll certainly raise far, far, far in excess of the £2 billion the government's made the political choice to try and save by taking money off 750,000 sick and disabled people. And that's why, as the bell goes now, there's plenty of Labour MPs voting against this disability benefit cuts bill tonight as we speak, because they think that a wealth tax is a better way to do it. But more fundamentally, even those who aren't exploring the idea of a wealth tax feel that it's wrong to try and balance the books on the backs of the poor and disabled. And if we're against a two-tier system in relation to personal independence payments, which the government has said it is now against as of last week, then we should be against a two-tier system in relation to universal credit as well. And that's what MPs are voting on now. And I'm about to go and vote against that bill, because when I think of my constituents, disabled constituents who come to see me at my surgeries, they elected the Labour government to make things better for them, not to make things worse. The £2 billion worth of cuts are, in my view, cruel, are definitely unnecessary and need to be opposed.
Well, I can hear the bell ringing. I know this is something you feel strongly about, so I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much for finding the time for us.
Thanks so much, Sophie.
On a busy night in the...
Take care. Bye.